Hello my loves, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. It is the eve before our US trip. I cannot believe we're about to head off tomorrow. I guess we'll already be on our way by the time you guys are watching this. I was about to pack up all my makeup as I got ready to head to my parents' house. We're having Sunday night dinner. It's also Nick's birthday tomorrow. So a little like birthday, wedding anniversary, leaving for 3 weeks kind of family dinner. And so I thought, what better time to sit down with you guys and just chat. I feel like it's been a while since I've done a Q&A kind of life update video. There's been a lot of changes on my channel and just in my life over the last couple of months. Now just felt like a good time to sit down and chat and catch up with you guys. I asked for some questions on my Instagram story a couple of weeks ago, so I've just gone through and picked out a few and we're gonna just answer them as we get ready. I just got this new little get ready with me headband. I feel like a true TikToker now. It really is so functional. Not only does it look really cute, makes me feel like Lady Liberty, but it's also really functional. It just pulls all my hair back. I will be taking this with me on my trip. So yeah, I've got all my questions here and we're just gonna go through and answer some of them. So the first one is, what are your plans for the next 6 months, personal and professional? So as I mentioned, we are off to America. As you guys are watching this, we will be on our way, which is crazy, or we'll probably already be there. I don't know when this video is going up exactly, but yeah, that's our first order of business. It's been a crazy couple of weeks full of travel. I talked about this a little bit in my last vlog, but I feel like I haven't really been able to find much of a routine post quitting my job, just with all of the amazing travel opportunities that I've had. I feel like I've been away more than I've been home, which is amazing. Definitely something I'm so grateful for. That was another question someone asked, is travel influencer the goal? Very excited for you, Ella. Thank you so much. Look, no, I don't think I'll ever be a travel influencer per se. Like, I have full respect for anyone that does that. I've actually met quite a lot of travel vloggers and Instagrammers on these influencer trips that I've been a part of, and watching them in action, I have the utmost respect. Like, here I am with my little Sony camera, just vlogging my silly little life, and there's people out here with like these full kits, like the most creative, passionate people. It's been so cool to see that and be a part of that, but I could never. I definitely appreciate any travel opportunities because it's a big part of my life. It's always been a big part of my life. I have always loved traveling. I went and lived in Canada for a couple of years when I was 18. My dad used to work for British Airways and American Airlines when we lived in the UK, so we did a lot of traveling when I was younger. Like, it's always been a big part of my life. My last job was working as a travel agent, so I literally sold travel for my job. So I think it will always be a part of my life. And that's really it. Like, my social media, my YouTube channel is literally just my life. And so whether it's work related or not, like, I nearly always share my trips. So no, I don't see myself becoming a travel influencer per se, but if I get travel opportunities, of course, I'm going to bring you guys along, as long as they fit and make sense for me and my content. How are your groceries so low? This is a big question I get a lot. I haven't done one in a couple weeks, but I started bringing you guys along for my grocery shops and actually doing a breakdown of what we bought, how much we spent, and the meals that we'll be making for the week. So I definitely plan on doing more of that content when I get back from our trip, just because I think it's cool to see in action. I also had the opportunity to work with taste.com, which was really cool. Something that I use in my everyday life to get like recipe ideas and stuff. And I did 2 articles talking about like ways that I save money and things that we do. So I'll have those articles linked down below in case anyone's interested. That was a really cool opportunity to be able to write, to be able to be creative in a different medium. Was so fun. And yeah, I shared all of our tips, but the main ones are really, we eat a lot of vegetarian meals. We don't eat a lot of meat throughout the week. Then when we get takeaway or we eat out, we'll usually opt for like a red meat dish. We always go in with a plan. So we always plan all of our dinners for the week, and then lunches and breakfast we usually just have on a rotation. It's a lot of like salads, wraps, sandwiches, and breakfast we usually have a smoothie. I think when you go in with a plan, it's so much easier to stick to it. I also like to write my shopping list in order of the aisles and like where we'll be going, so I'm not bopping around and getting caught up in the different temptations of the aisles. Just stick to the list. Also, don't shop on an empty stomach. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Anytime I go in hungry, I'm like, oh. We also try and limit our grocery shops to once a week. It doesn't always work like that. Usually we'll have at least one stock up towards the end of the week, but the less we go, the less random stuff we'll pick up. That's really how I keep it low. Also, to be completely transparent, you guys see it in my monthly budgets, we eat out like a fair bit. I don't think it's always like a fair comparison. There's also only 2 of us. We don't have any kids at the moment. There's definitely ways that we shop and ways that we try and save money in that area, but we definitely eat out and order takeaway. Next question is, what is the spreadsheet you use called? I always have it linked down below literally every single video because I always get so many questions about it. It's also linked on my Linktree on my Instagram and TikTok profile. It's from the brand CoPlenty. I have a bunch of different planners, templates. They actually just came out with a holiday planner, which has been super helpful for planning this trip. I have an ongoing code with them. It's just, is it smileycitrus 10? Something like that. It's linked down below. I use the yearly 2.0 spreadsheet. So it has the annual overview, which is super interesting to see your final figures at the end of the year. And then it also has a monthly breakdown as well. Someone asked, why are you only paying yourself $1,500 per fortnight? That's not very much. No hate, just curious. I will probably touch on this more maybe in like a money diary video and definitely in my next monthly reset. But essentially, I've kind of changed how I'm budgeting. Basically, I would always budget off my part-time paycheck, and then anything that I made from social media was just like extra money. Now that I'm fully reliant on that social media income, I'm trying to be a lot more conservative with it, at least for right now, like the first few months. On one hand, to avoid lifestyle creep, but also just transparently because I'm scared. I'm just a bit of a nervous Nelly, I'll be honest. It's just my way of managing cash flow. So trying to work off $1,500 per fortnight, and then I'm squirreling away extra social media income for those slower months I might need to pay myself from my business savings. So that's kind of how I'm working things at the moment. I think this definitely will change, especially now I feel comfortable with the amount that's in my business savings. I know I have several months worth of income to pay myself. I think it's just a lot of trial and error and just trying to figure out what works best for me and our situation. How did you and your husband meet? This is a good question. I actually get this a lot. My husband and I have been together for almost 6.5 years. We actually met on Tinder, of all places. A Tinder love story. Some might call me Tinderella. I think another question I got is, what was our first date? So we met on Tinder, we started talking. I think we were only talking for a couple of days because I really was not interested in too much small talk. I wanted to cut to the chase, meet in person, see if we actually vibed. Obviously we did. Our first date was just before Christmas. He came and picked me up, which looking back is probably a little sketchy, but I felt safe. We actually had some mutual friends. No one that I was that close with, but people that I knew from school, he knew from cricket. And I was like, oh, like he must be okay. A real person at least. And yeah, for our first date, we went and looked at Christmas lights. It was super special. Honestly, the perfect first date. If you're going on a first date in December, I highly recommend. It was so magical, so Christmassy. The vibes were high. It was very romantic. And we were doing something. We were doing an activity, but we still had the opportunity to talk and like get to know each other. But then anytime there was not awkward pauses, but you know when you first meet someone, there might be little lulls in the conversation and we could just point at the Christmas lights and be like, oh, so pretty. It was perfect. Perfect first date. I mean, here we are, 6.5 years later. Here he is. I was just talking about you. I was talking about our first date. Do you remember what we did?
Yeah, we went to look at Christmas lights.
Sorry guys, just scooching us over because the sun is starting to come in and it's like reflecting weirdly. Is that better? I think so. Yeah, first date was looking at Christmas lights. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but our first dance song at our wedding was Lover by Taylor Swift. And if you guys know, one of the lyrics in that references Christmas lights. Like we'll leave the Christmas lights up till January. So little homage to our first date. This is a commonly asked question, and I feel like the way this is worded is fine. The question is, do you want kids in the future? Thank you for being respectful. I've had a lot of questions being like, when are you having a baby? Are you pregnant recently? Which I on one hand, like I get it. Like I also feel that way, like about people that I watch that I know want kids. I'm like, yes, like waiting for pregnancy announcement. Like I too get excited for other people and watching people step into that next chapter of their lives. It's so exciting. And I feel like once someone gets married and you know that they want kids, like you're almost expecting it. So I do get it. It's hard because it's something that I have talked about. I've talked about our desire to have kids one day. So I've kind of opened myself up to those questions and assumptions. So it doesn't bother me necessarily, but I think it's really important to be sensitive to other people or other situations. Like if we were actively trying to have a baby, which we might be, you just don't know. Like you really don't know what other people are going through. I think as we get closer to that decision and to starting that next chapter of our lives, like the more sensitive I find myself becoming, or like sensitive to other people. I know people that have tried for months and months dealing with fertility issues. And if you're already dealing with those issues, someone then asking you about it that doesn't know you, like it would be different if it was my friends or family. You really don't know what other people are going through. And I guarantee you the last thing someone wants to hear when they're struggling to conceive is, when are you having a baby or are you pregnant? But do we want kids in the future? I feel like this is kind of nicely, more sensitively worded. Yeah, we definitely do want kids in the future. It's something I've been super honest about. We cannot wait for that. I mean, we can. We can wait, but we also can't wait for that next chapter of our lives. I'm really glad we waited a couple of years after getting married, especially because we got married not like young. Nick was 26, I was 25. In the grand scheme of things, like relatively young. And the last couple of years have been such a whirlwind. It's been really nice to just like take it all in, enjoy married life for a couple of years. I actually remember, this is me like being super honest, maybe TMI, but I remember as soon as we got married, and I don't know if anyone else experienced this, but after we got married, I was like, I'm ready for a baby. The baby fever was high. And I think it was coming off of the wedding and just like all of the emotions. Getting married and your wedding day is the biggest high, and you ride that high for a long time. The love that I felt on my wedding day for my husband, for my friends, for my family was like another level. And I came away after that for several months, even like a year after we got married, and I was like, yeah, I want a baby. I'm just ready. Like, I love you so much. Like, let's just do it. Upon reflection, I'm glad that we didn't, and that we've had these couple of years to just enjoy each other and establish a good foundation. But for anyone that's getting married, just as a heads up, this is at least my experience. I was like, such a high, let's have a baby, which I didn't see coming. I really didn't. How is full-time social media going? Can social media as a job be challenging at times? So far so good. It's literally been, we're coming up on like 2 months since I quit my job, which is wild. It's been the quickest 2 months of my life. As I said in my last vlog, I am really ready to come back from our trip nice and refreshed, having had the best time of our lives, and to establish a good, solid routine. Not that I don't have one right now. Like, I get up at a reasonable time. We're up by 6:30. I basically follow whatever Nick's doing, which has been really good for motivation. We get up together, we go to the beach, walk moo, have our morning coffee together. Where is my damn brush? There we go. Then when we come back, he gets stuck into work, and then I'm like already up. I may as well start work as well. It's been easy in that respect. I just feel like day to day and just like setting up my week, working out what works best for me on what days. Like, what days do I need to film, edit? What are the best admin days? When do I want to shoot short form content, long form content? Like, just figuring out the flow of the week is something I need to work on. But otherwise it's been pretty good, honestly. I'm really enjoying it so far. I was talking about this yesterday with some friends. It's been so nice. Whatever effort I put into my social media is pretty much what I get back. Obviously the numbers you can't really control, but if I want to be making quality, entertaining, educational content, like, I actually need to get up, get my ass into gear and do it. No one else is going to do it for me, and whatever effort I put in is what I'm going to be getting back, which is really nice. It's also nice to just not have to really answer to anyone. I do have a manager, which is good, just have someone hold me accountable, but I ultimately, like, it's me, just me on my lonesome. And on one hand, it's a very scary thing, kind of terrifying when I think about it, but also simultaneously really liberating. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Can social media as a job be challenging at times? I think the biggest thing that I did not see coming is people's perception of me changing. And this is like a small, less than 1%, like 0.001%. But for some people, it's almost like immediately someone quits their job, they're instantly unrelatable. And that just really bothers me. It's almost like people don't even give you a chance to like prove yourself. You're instantly just, you're done. You're done. I don't know, I think people just feel more entitled to hate on you when you're doing it full time. That's the only thing I've noticed. It's literally like a couple of people. I think it's bothered me more than it would have previously, just because it is my job. It's almost like your manager coming to you and being like, hey, don't like this. Any negativity is just so easy to focus on, and I'm really trying my best to block that out, because there is so much positivity in my little community. Like, I really feel so lucky in that respect. I'm truly blessed with the most supportive, understanding, engaged audience. It's definitely not something I take for granted, and so many of you are cheering me on. It's just a few people that are not. And at the end of the day, the only people's opinion that matters is myself and like my friends and family, like the people that actually truly know me. Whereas if it's just random people that don't know me and only see a snippet of my life and choose to spread negativity online, like, how happy are you in your own life? Do you make more money from Insta or YouTube? That is a great question. I actually genuinely have no idea. I'd really have to do a breakdown and see. It really does depend. I definitely do a lot more brand deals and sponsorships on Instagram and TikTok, just because, well, truthfully, a lot of brands love short form content. That's like what they're after. Also, it's a lot easier to do more short form content, so not every single post is sponsored. I feel like if I did the same amount of sponsored content on my YouTube, literally every video would be sponsored, and I don't really want that. But in terms of actual payment, like, Obviously more effort goes into YouTube sponsorships, so they generally pay more, but then there's like usage and boosting that is sometimes added onto short form content that YouTube doesn't really have. Also, YouTube actually pays per view or per 1,000 views with Google AdSense. So that's a consistent stream of income that TikTok and Instagram just don't provide. There's no TikTok Creator Fund in Australia, so literally the only way you can make money is from sponsored content. So I actually don't know. This really didn't answer your question, but hopefully that gives you a bit of insight. I'd say at the moment, and especially with the growth that I've experienced on Instagram, I would say probably Instagram, but like only just. I'd really have to look at the numbers. Maybe I could do that at the end of the year with you guys. How are you finding budgeting now that you don't have a consistent income? So far so good. Just trying to lowball everything, not give into lifestyle creep. Again, I'll talk more about this in my monthly reset and maybe like a future money diary video. It's an ever evolving thing at the moment, but so far so good. Was the original intention to share financial content or did it just happen? Yeah, it really did just happen. I don't even know. I guess it started with like my monthly resets. I started making those for like three or 4 years ago now. And I started introducing budgeting and how I budget in my videos. About 9 months ago, I started making short form content. I was like, what am I gonna make videos about? Like I already vlog on YouTube. Like no one needs to see any more vloggy kind of content. What am I going to talk about? The first video I posted was in September of last year and I talked about how much we spent on our trip to Tasmania. Hi Moo, you want to say hi? That just like catapulted everything. And I was like, okay, there's really a gap online with people talking about finances, especially for women. I see a lot of finance bros online talking about how to invest and what to do with your money, and it's like very intense and in your face, and that's just not me. I also don't think there's many people that talk about lifestyle as well and share their everyday life and how budgeting and personal finance kind of weaves into that. It all interlocks. And yeah, I just saw a gap in the market, I guess you could say. I didn't really see many people talking about it, so I was like, if no one else is, I am. And that's kind of how it started. So making financial content was never part of the original plan. It just happened organically, which is probably the best way to be. Oh, this is an interesting one. How much of sponsored trips are already paid for by the brand? How much do you pay versus what they pay? So honestly, I can only talk from my own experience. It really does depend. I know this is such a bullshit answer, but in my experience, pretty much everything is paid for. They also may pay you to go on the trip as well, depending on the deliverables and where you're going and what you're doing or what the brand is, but pretty much everything is paid. Or if it's not, you might have like a allowance on ground expenses that they'll then reimburse you for. So it really depends on the brand, the trip, who you're going with, what you're doing, the deliverables. Like there's a lot of variables, but for the most part, everything is paid for, which is really nice. Whoa. Gosh, I'm just like slowly making my way around this table. The sun won't stop following me. Okay, I'm gonna end on this question. What different jobs have you had? Did you go to uni? I did go to uni for like a year, I think in total. Actually, it was probably like closer to 1.5 years of my degree. And then I ended up getting a job as a travel agent. And I was like, this interests me so much more. I don't really know what I want to do with this degree. I studied a Bachelor of Communication and Professional Writing. It was really good, but I just felt like I wasn't learning a whole lot. Like I was just ticking boxes, which I feel like uni is a lot of that. I don't necessarily regret it because I think it was a good experience. I've experienced uni. I know that it's not necessarily for me. Would I ever go back? Sure. Like if there was something that I genuinely wanted to study and that I could see myself using that degree to get myself a job, then sure. But otherwise, like I would so much rather have job experience, live life, live, laugh, love. I honestly admire anyone that can get a university degree. Like it is not an easy feat no matter what you study, and especially if it's something like communications. Like it's so broad, there are so many places that you can go, and that just like overwhelmed me. I think for some people it would be great, you've got that freedom and so many different options, but for me I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Like I genuinely don't know. And in terms of my job experience, my first ever job, I worked at Hungry Jack's. I was there for on and off like 5 or 6 years. I started when I was 16 in the burger room, making the burgers. I can still vividly remember how to fold the wrapper. It's like forever embedded in my mind. I then like started working the drive-through, worked my way up to team leader. I was that girl saying, welcome to Hungry Jack's, place an order when you're ready, thanks. Yep, Whopper cheese. I low-key kind of miss it. I really do. There's something about working a drive-through, like the thrill and the rush. So I worked there on and off for about 5 years. In between, I went and lived in Canada for 2 years. When I first moved to Canada, I worked as an au pair, which is like a nanny. I lived and worked with my family, and they lived just outside of Toronto in Port Credit, which is like near Mississauga. It was almost like being on exchange because I was only 18. It was really nice to have a family and have that support of a family when I was all by myself in a foreign country. I still have contact with that family, which is so nice. The kids are so grown up, which is crazy. They were, I think 2 and 5 2 and 5 when I first got there. Or maybe 3 and 5, something like that. They're now like teenagers, which is great. That makes me sound so old. I did that for a year and then I moved back to Australia for 6 months, started uni. I was like, I've still got a year left on my visa. I also had a boyfriend over there at the time and I ended up moving back. I moved in with him and I got a job at a Starbucks in downtown Toronto, which is honestly another favorite job of mine. I ended that relationship, ended up moving back and going back to Hungry Jack's to work as a team leader. I was working my way up to management and then in 2020 or 2019, 2019, I got a job at Flight Centre working as a travel agent. That was my introduction to the travel industry. I fell in love. Loved my team, loved my job, but then COVID hit in 2020 and like many people, I lost my job. Then I started working in insurance. I was there for like 2 years. Management ended up changing, so I ended up quitting that job because the manager was horrible. And I started working as an accounts receivable officer up until my last job, which was again working as a travel agent for a different company. So those were my job experiences. A lot of customer service, travel, like just very customer centric roles, which I really enjoy. Like I love people. I love talking to people and working with people. Anyway, I'm gonna end off this video here because I've been talking your ear off. I've also finished getting ready, all ready for family dinner with the fam. Family dinner with the fam. Who would have thought? Thank you guys so much for getting ready with me and sitting down and chatting. It's so nice to just sit down every now and then and reconnect with you guys. I know there's a lot of new faces on here, a lot of old faces. And it's just nice to just chat, connect. I am gonna pack up all my makeup. I've got like 3 separate makeup bags going at the moment, so I need to condense everything down into just one. And then that's it. I'm ready to go. I cannot believe we are off to America. Crazy. Definitely follow me over on my Instagram and TikTok if you guys want to keep up with me and my trip. Otherwise, look out for all of the US vlogs. I'm so excited to bring you guys along. Thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really, really helps my channel out. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys very soon for another video. Bye. Love you.